go over this. Interrupt me at any time that you wanna. And where's my? And I will be brief but thorough. I don't know how to do that. Should be screen number 2. I'm just going to go to screen number 1. Okay, you all are seeing my screens. Alrighty, my usual disclaimer. So Tanya, where are the notes? This is what everybody always seems to ask, because inventory, right? Everybody wants to know where inventory in any part of real estate is all about the inventory. So the first thing I always tell people is know what you're talking about. So be familiar with the product, know what it is that you're saying in the words that are coming out of your mouth, because people will automatically know if you don't know what you're talking about, right? So for you all, you already know, you know what a note is, you know the purchase agreements, you know, performing, non-performing, what's the UPB, what's the rate, you know the questions to ask. So those are the questions that you want to ask if someone's trying to sell a note, or if you're trying to get a note, or even if you're just talking with a bank. You kind of want to know what it is you're talking about and be comfortable with it. So understand the lingo so that you can speak the language, which is just the language of UPBs and rates and stuff like that. I always say vet your sources, because there are a bunch of people out there who are just doing stuff and they're doing it wrong. And you just want to be mindful of that. So always vet your sources, because there are people who might be brokering off another thing that's brokering off another thing that's brokering off, and they don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to make a few dollars. And so you can just ask them certain questions like, are you direct to seller? If you're brokering them off, are you direct to seller? And sometimes if they say yes, then that's fine. If they say no, I'm second in line, sometimes that's okay, but you just need to know, will I be able to get the documents that I need? Because you know that if you're looking at a note and everything looks great, they give you can they give you the collateral file? Do you have access to an electronic collateral file that I can see? If they can't answer those questions, or if they're saying stupid stuff that you just have no idea what they're talking about, because a lot of these people, they still equate note investing to real estate. And so they'll bring in a whole lot of real estate terms, and you're like, what are you saying? And so you'll just know by talking to people whether or not they are real in the note space or in the note game, or if they're just trying to, do some crazy stuff. You find a lot of that on Facebook, and you'll find a lot of it on, not so much on Instagram, but a lot on Facebook, because people just jump into it trying to make a quick buck and trying to sell off tapes and stuff like that. So just vet your sources and know who they are. And just know that you need some credibility. So this is not, business to consumer. All of this is business to business. So even one note investor to another note investor, because you're the bank, it's bank to bank. And just remember that it's always bank to bank, even if you're working with a bank. So it's not B to C, it's always B to B. So with that said, where can you find those notes? Of course, it's always the term networking. So Paper Source, that happened earlier this year. I think it happened earlier this year. No, Note Expo happened earlier this year. Go to the conferences. Paper Source, I think, is in Vegas, and it's later this year. DME, like Nicole mentioned, is next week, the first week in June. It's the first weekend in June. It's down in Nashville. It's only a couple of days, but it's a great way not only to know the players and to meet people and to listen to what they're talking about, but you're meeting other individuals who are just, they just want to be note investors. They might have a pool of 10 notes and they're just there. They might be ready to sell them all. You have no idea, but attend them. The IMN, this is the, I can't recall the name of it. I just refer to it as IMN, but they offer multiple conferences throughout the year. But 2 of those conferences are distressed mortgage conferences. One is in California, and usually the other one's on the East Coast in Florida. This one is an expensive conference because it's like $1,000 to attend, something like that. But this is where your banks are. These are where your hedge funds are. These are people that you want to get to know if you're trying to pull down these big pools of notes. Note Expo is just another note investing. So I would say Paper Source, DME, and Note Expo are great for people who are just getting into note investing. Even if you're experienced, it's great. So you get the mom and pops, you have some of your institutional buyers there, but your IMN, that's hardcore banks. That's all it is hardcore banks. So check them out. Of course, you can go to Facebook. Facebook, just be leery of the people in there, but after a while, you do get to know the real players, right? And LinkedIn is actually really, really great. I'm finding LinkedIn to be perfect. So if you go to LinkedIn and then you do look up asset managers, look up other note investors, and you can even look up the banks and the vice presidents of banks and just connect with them. You can connect with them and then hit them up every now and then and just let them know what you do. Hey, I'm looking for any notes or distressed assets, blah, blah, blah. Do you have anything? And make sure that your LinkedIn profile also shows that you not necessarily are buying notes, but you're an investor. You can show it that way. Because if you're doing multiple things, you don't want to, show all your things, but at least when they look at your profile, it shows that you are an investor. But LinkedIn has been wonderful. And then go to meetups, attend meetups like this. And you don't have to be the greatest networker in the world. You don't have to be, because nobody is. Nobody is the greatest networker in the world. Just go out and introduce yourself. Ask people what they do. Are you in performing notes or non-performing notes? It might sound stupid, but they might say both and it strikes up a conversation. So it's not about being the greatest networker. It's just about showing up. And that's one of my words on my board for this year. What am I doing? Oh, collaborations, think big and show up. Because if you're not showing up, that's half the battle is just arriving, right? Being there and making the connection. Any questions there? All righty. So online, I made this list. There are a few more out there, but this list, JKP Holdings, if you go to them, they're on Facebook, but they have a continuous listing of an Excel spreadsheet of notes. So they kind of like the whole Notes Direct, but they just do it on Facebook with their Excel spreadsheet. And people send them stuff. Some of their stuff stays on there and can get a little stale, but every month it's kind of updated and they have new assets. So JKP Holdings is a great place to start looking. Notes Direct, we all know that's the Eddie Speed one. The only thing about Notes Direct is, what can I say? People try to get top dollar for them. So if you're looking for, even with the non-performing notes, if you're looking for something above 10%, you're probably not going to find it at Notes Direct. But then again, if you happen to find one that's at 10% or so, and you want to broker it to one of these banks that are looking at 7%, you still can get a pretty decent spread. So I wouldn't discount Notes Direct. I go there periodically just to see what's happening or if there's anything of interest to me. But it's also a great way for you to practice and do due diligence. Paper Stack is the same way. I actually had Brett Berkey reach out to me on LinkedIn. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, he actually called me. And I said, I know why he's calling me, because I just posted something on LinkedIn saying we buy notes. And so now he's going to call me up and say, hey, you should check out my website. And I'm going to say, I'm already on it. So go to Paper Stack, and it's the exact same thing as Notes Direct. But I would say it is the exact same thing as Notes Direct, in which you're not going to get the largest return. But every now and then there is a needle in the haystack. But it's great for you to do your due diligence. It's great if you can broker off one or two of them, and if you can make that spread. But recall, I just want you to know that Notes Direct and Paper Stack, there is like a 2 or 3% brokerage fee. So you have to weigh that in if you're trying to do a brokering deal. But just go in and look and see what you can find, because it might just sit in your health savings account or your IRA. And if an 8% is fine with you, that's great, because 8% is better than the 2% that you're getting at the bank, or the 1% that you're getting in the bank. And if it's just going to sit and keep, stacking up, it's still good. Notes Trader is another place, and so is Watermark. These are all online, online trade desks that you can actually just receive assets. You go on there and just look at their assets. Pre-REO, let me tell you about pre-REO. They're good, But pre-REO doesn't always own the assets. So, or they don't have rights to it, because I've put in multiple offers at pre-REO, and then it takes them 2 weeks to get back to me, and then they'll say, oh, it's not available. We didn't solidify these tapes. But what they do is offer some good education every now and then. Sorry. They'll offer some good education. So if you sign up with them, every now and then they'll have something decent. Note Trade X is another one, and Deb Expert. Deb Expert is actually quite good. So I would sign up with them. It's kind of a lengthy sign up, but if you sign up with them, they not only have mortgage notes, but they also have what you call unsecured debt, like credit card debt or new car loans and stuff like that. Those I ignore, but when they do have tapes of great mortgages, they just had 2 of them that came out. One was a tape of seconds, and then another one was a bunch of non-performing. I haven't looked at that one yet, but they have some great stuff. You have to bid on it, so it's like an auction style. So you have to bid on it, and then you just go through with the rest of the process. But they're really good to know. Revival Brothers, for those of you that don't know, they send out tapes periodically, although I haven't received anything from them this year. But if you sign up with them, they also have great trainings and webinars. And SNSD Servicing, I usually use this one. This is Dave Polio. If you go to their website, snsc.com, I believe it is, and you go to their website, then sign up with Dave Polio, and he'll say, just send me an email. It's right there on the website. Send me an email if you want to be on my list. And once you get on his list, he sends out tapes pretty regularly, and you can bid on them. The only thing about his stuff, I have bought something from him, and it was a great note. It's a great note, but some of his stuff gets bid up quickly and high. And that's another point right now, because we thought we'd be seeing a lot of non-performing notes in the market right now, and they're not there. All I'm seeing coming through is a bunch of performing notes, and except for this one set of non-performing that I just saw today. But mainly it's a lot of performing notes flooding the market. So not sure what's happening or what to expect in the future right now. Everyone expected this big wave of foreclosures, the non-performing notes, and nothing has waved, nothing has fallen, nothing has come down. So not sure what's happening, but there's a lot of performing coming into the market. Any questions? Okay, so when you sign up with any one of these groups, or if you're working with a broker of any sort, say that you came across a broker on Facebook or LinkedIn, they're brokering the note. Sometimes they may have you sign a non-disclosure and a non-circumvent agreement. So you just want to make sure that you sign it. Don't give them a hard time about it, because essentially it's protecting them and it's protecting you also, because they don't want you going around them directly to the seller in order to buy it directly from them. And then you're putting yourself into an agreement that you're not going to sell, or that they're not going to sell it outside of whatever else, of you. So just make sure that when I say they're not selling it outside of you, they may sell it to other people, and it is a tape that may be going around to other people, but it's also protecting you in the sense that it's not going to jump, you're not going to jump over, or they're not, am I saying this right? I'm jumping over. Anyway, you're not going to resell their assets, and you're not going to be the one daisy chaining anything. And you're not going around them or circumventing them in order to get directly to the seller so that they don't get their fee. That's better said. Thank you. I'll edit that out when I post it to YouTube. Any questions there? Cool. So referrals, building relationships. This is the one that takes the longest, which is why you don't necessarily, it's the slower one. So you kind of want to combine multiple things while you're trying to build this up. But building relationships with other note investors, again, just put yourself out there, let people know what you do and what you're looking for. And even if that's just in LinkedIn and you're just connecting with those people, every now and then you could just hit them up and send them a message. Be like, hey, what you doing? Do you have any notes for sale? Or are you going to DME or something like that? Just connect with them so that they know you're interested. They know that you're a buyer. They know that you're looking and what you're looking for. Probate lawyers. So I am going to see my estate attorney next month. And I kind of slowed up in doing this over the last few years with COVID and all, but I dropped off some information to them and some brochures to them. I'm just dropping off cards and everything now. But I tell them, I buy these houses. How many estates might have houses and properties in them, and they're passing them down to their family. Their 1970s haven't been updated since the 70s or the 80s. The family doesn't want anything to do with them. They'll give them my card and say, give her a call. Or some of these have notes in them. I'm working with that lawyer now who I'm still trying to get it to the finish line, who called me because the person had passed away and in her estate was a note. And they said, Tanya, can you handle this note? Of course I can handle the note. So get in contact with probate lawyers or your own estate lawyer, whoever's handling your estate or anything, and let them know, this is what I do. This is what I buy. I buy notes, I buy ugly houses or whatever it is that you buy. And if you have anybody, you know anybody, and then follow up like every quarter. I was thinking every quarter I just drop by and give them some donuts or something, or give them a call, shoot them an email, let them know that you're still around, you're still alive, and you're still buying notes and still buying houses or what have you. Servicers are also great. So when you connect with your one servicer that you have, when you get a note, usually there's a person or someone in the account that you're dealing with. You have someone that manages your account. Let them know, hey, if you have anybody who's selling their notes off, let me know. I'm willing to buy. I'm looking to buy. And they'll patch them your way. I've had 3 of those happen to me. And that was just recently. And that was by mistake because I mistakenly kept this was with reps. And I mistakenly kept the email in my CRM. And I sent out a marketing email and she got it and she hit me back and she said, Tanya, I'm not interested, but I have somebody who's willing to sell a note. Are you interested? I was like, yeah. And after that, she sent me 2 other ones. So it works. But once you get into that, once you have your account person that works with you as a server and with your servicer, you want to make sure that you just connect with them, say hi, and then tell them I want some notes if you got them. So here we go with our mailings. So you can do direct mailings of postcards and letters. I don't know, how do you do it, Regis? Do you do it with letters or postcards? I'm doing postcards. Be able to get off? Maybe not, but that's okay. But you can buy a list. There are places where you can buy lists. The only thing about mailers is, one, it's not like homes, right? So it's not like you have a list where you can be out of state owners. Go ahead, Regis.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine's is I'm doing direct mail and it's letters. So
Okay.
I'm printing the letters, and then I had a lady I found who does the handwriting of the envelopes.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And so I pull a list. Where'd you pull your list, Regis?
So I went through a guy named Scott Arpin. It's like ASDS.org.
What was it again?
And that was his name is Scott Arpin.
Okay.
And yeah, and he's been doing this for like I think like over 20 plus years.
Okay.
But he's pretty responsive and he has pretty good lists. I mean, I have had a handful returned to me because of the address is either out of service or is not accurate. But out of the 400 to 500 that I've sent out, I probably have received maybe 10 or 15 that weren't deliverable. Yeah.
That's really good. Okay. So you all got that name. That's a good one. So I pulled, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I pull my list from Data Tree, or you could use PropStream. And there is a section there. It allows you to filter everything. And there's also a section that says seller carryback. And they allow you to filter it for anybody that has seller carryback notes. The thing is, it's not like you have, you're going to the courthouse and you're finding landlords who are evicting people. So you know that they could possibly be a tired landlord. And it's not like they're out of state people. Because most of them are out of state. So you're not going to get those types of lists. So you don't know if they're technically motivated. But I'm thinking the mailing side will also, it triggers people because people have these notes and they don't always think about selling them. But if they have a life event and your envelope or your postcard comes out and comes to them and they're thinking, oh yeah, I have a note that I want to sell, it will just, it will help them and trigger them, and it helps you also to help them and get them to call you, right? And then also when you're doing direct mail, hey Shree, also when you're doing direct mails, you want to continue to do it, right? It's not just a one hit. And that's with marketing. That's with marketing in general, right? You at least want to get 7 touches before you actually say, okay, that's enough. But you want to touch them every month or so. And then sometimes it's a phone call, especially if they show an interest. But I wouldn't just call all these people just because you're doing a mailing. But make sure you just touch them more than once. So that was it for the mailing. So marketing, email marketing, starting a campaign to market to your list or your group. So I started doing email marketing also. This was really toward I did a list of probate lawyers, and that was just for an asset managers. So people will tell you that you can't get notes from the bank, but you actually can get notes from the banks. I've gotten them, I've brokered them, and I've moved them. You're not going to get massive amounts of tapes exactly from these smaller banks, but you can get them from banks. So I started doing an email marketing campaign to some asset managers. I've also done them for the probate lawyers that I actually connect with. And then I just send out emails periodically and say, hey, I'm here. If you need anything, just reach out. And that's how I started touching and doing regular communications with people. And it's just a simple email. It's nothing grand. You don't have to explain and make it long. People don't read. Make things as short as possible and just say, let's have coffee, have an action item or a virtual cup of coffee, or let's talk, or let's chat. You know, send them an item of some sort. But it's just building relationship and letting them know that you're, again, not some crazy person just trying to get something. And the more consistent that you are, the more they get used to you. It's just like anything else in social media. You don't know people there. You may never met them, may have never talked to them, but you follow them. And the more that you follow them, the more information that they give you, the more credible they become to you. And then you might even buy something from them, or you might, you know, do business with them. But how does Gary Vee call it? I forgot the book. What is it called? I'll think of it. But it's not jumping directly into bed with people. It's massaging them and you know, getting to know them and putting the information out that helps, you know, grow them up. And then once you grow them up, then you can say, hey, you can sell them. So this was one that I did for, I think this was the asset managers. So we connected, because I'm doing a couple of different mailings to different groups right now, but I said, hey, we connected on LinkedIn. I wanted to reach out to say hello and let you know that my company purchases non-performing residential and commercial mortgage notes across the country. If you have any non-performing notes that you'd like to move, or even if you don't have any right now, let's chat. Lunch is on me. And then you add your contact information. And so, yes, it was for some local banks. And even if it's not local, if you can drive a few, if not, do a virtual lunch, send them a gift card, what have you. But I put down here Get Prospect because that's a great thing to use. The good thing about Get Prospect is that it allows you to filter down to the people that you want. So you could say, okay, I'm looking for realtors or asset managers, or I'm looking for probate lawyers or what have you in this area or this zip code. And I want them to have this type of information. And so it'll bring that list, and it will also give you their phone number and their email address. And it's free for, if you want the free one, you can get 50 for free every month. If not, then you can have a paid subscription and get more. But it's very helpful just to use. But the good thing about Get Prospect is that you can connect it to your LinkedIn account. And once you connect it to your LinkedIn account, it can grab those people, those same people, and filter those same people from LinkedIn. And they'll also grab the ones that you've already connected with. But when they grab them, you can connect with them right then and there. So it's a benefit because you're connecting, you filter down who it is you want, but then it allows you to connect with them also And then it'll turn around, and if they have their email address there, it'll get their email address for you also. And then you can start sending out email campaigns. Any questions there? Okay, so marketing, Google pay-per-clicks. These are, I thought it was pay-per-click, but pay-per-clicks and Facebook ads. I haven't done Facebook ads, but I haven't done pay-per-clicks either. But I was considering, so if anyone has done them, I actually have done them for another business, but it's creating a campaign using keywords that people would Google in order to buy or sell a note. So you're charged each time a person has clicked on your ad. What you can do is you actually can talk about, or you can actually determine how much you want to spend for each click, and then they'll cap it at whatever it is. But you're kind of competing with other people. So if you're only asking to be charged 5 cents for every click, someone who's asking to be charged 50 cents or $1 or $2 per click will have the advantage over you. So, I mean, it's well worth it. And I know people that are using it right now who are benefiting from it. I have a friend who's doing note investing, and he says he gets most of his through pay-per-clicks right now. But he tried mailings. Mailings didn't work too well for him. The pay-per-clicks are working well, but it is an expense for you. So just keep in mind that, know how much you want to spend, how much you want to budget, whether it's for your mailings, whether it's for the pay-per-clicks, whether it's for Facebook ads, or whether you just want to take the time and start networking and seeing who you can connect with and what you can get. Because initially, Regis, when you first got your access to your first note, wasn't that through networking? It wasn't through your mailings, and it wasn't through advertising. It was through networking, correct?
Yeah, it's been definitely a, what do you call it? Kind of like an epiphany a little bit in that, from the direct marketing, of all the marketing I've done so far, I haven't, I've gotten about 4 people who I've reached out. I mean, I've spoken with, but yeah, through personal relationships is where I got most of, the opportunities I've been able to pursue.
So yeah, referrals and making those connections, that's really where I would say would be the top as far as where to go and to get notes. But if you're, and just get out there, that would be the number one, is getting those referrals and making those connections, knowing the people. And I know it takes time, but honestly, it doesn't take that much time once you start getting out there and getting yourself out there. I mean, a year, maybe a year and a half, it only takes one person, right? That one right person who may have everything that you need and know everybody that you need to know in order to get that first note. So these are just some, but my key takeaways, of course, network. It's just getting yourself out there, meeting people and knowing people, even just coming to things like this group. I see Shri has joined us. Shri is an amazing note investor, and he has his own meetup also. Shri, are you available to talk?
Sure I am.
And the name of your meetup and
Yeah, it's residential note investing. I will post the link if I can.
yeah, please do.
Okay, 1 second.
And I've attended his meetup, and he's doing some great things in the space. He's got notes. He's constantly active, and he knows he's a wealth of information, and he has helped me out on multiple occasions.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So just dig and make those connections. There's nothing wrong with doing mailings also. Nothing wrong if you want to do, email marketing. Nothing wrong if you want to do the pay-per-clicks. But again, just getting out there and making yourself known in the space as to who you are and what you do, it makes a huge, huge difference. And you'll start to see things manifest. Any questions? Really, I did that great of a job? Or then not so great of a job? Thanks for dropping that in there, Shri.
And anyone has any questions, there's a Facebook group. We have about 3,300 members there. You can post any questions that you have. I'm pretty active there. I answer questions too. So
Awesome, thank you. Notes in real estate investing. I don't think I'm a part of that one. Sure,
You might be part of that, Daniel.
I am.
I'm guessing. You should.
Let me find one. All right. Any questions, concerns? We've got a quick, quiet group today. Anything outside of finding notes? Any concerns that you all have? Everybody feels comfortable with this? What's your strategy?
I guess, Tanya, I wanted to see, could you remind me, which ones is it that you said you started out with? Do you do non-performing and you're looking to do seconds, or what was the?
No, I mainly do first. I look at non-performing just because I like to do them. I like the workout. I like the returns, but I do performing also. You got
And
something?
then what was? Yeah, I was gonna say, what was your philosophy about just seconds, or do you not really have a philosophy for?
I don't have a
why you
philosophy. It's just that I haven't been fully trained in seconds. And so I said I would probably connect with someone who knows them better, especially if I'm gonna do non-performing seconds. The only thing I
Yeah.
want to know is if I'm doing a non-performing second, the first should be performing. And I think there's a lot more to it as far as the due diligence and so forth. So first is my wheelhouse, and that's my comfortable spot because I know it.
Yeah, we have bought more than 300 non-performing seconds. So
You
it's not a
bought
lot, but I can answer any questions. I've been through the ringer. We buy first, seconds, and we are buying commercial too now. Notes and commercial buildings.
Got it. And you said it's through your meetup group that if we have questions, we can reach out.
Yeah. I mean,
in the Facebook group also.
Facebook group, you can post the questions, and somebody you can DM me to go in there, or text me first before you, because of the spam calls. Text me saying that you heard me here, and I have a question. When is a good time to talk? Then I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
And I can say Sri is very responsive. A great resource, great resource. No other questions? I'm going to give you all back a whole 30 minutes.
So let me ask you a question, Tanya. So
Yep.
what are you buying now?
What am I buying now? I'm buying a bunch of non-performing notes that I haven't got. I just bought one non-performing note and I'm looking for more non-performing.
Okay, you're primarily a first position buyer, right?
Say that again?
You're primarily a non-performing first position buyer, right?
Yes, primarily non-performing first position.
In what states do you buy in?
Across the country. I'll even do New York, New Jersey, if the numbers work out right, and I'm willing to hold it.
Okay. I'll let you know what I have.
Yeah, Sri, I had just sent you my criteria as well because I announced my criteria earlier in the meeting and you weren't on, but.
Yeah. So what do I generally, just to be clear, right? What I generally do is I'm not a broker per se. Nothing against it. My hands are fully, hands, legs, whole of myself is fully involved in my business itself. So brokering is not my thing. But what I'm saying is when we go look at assets, sometimes I'm looking at a tape right now about 100 assets. So it is a combination of first and seconds, non-performing. And in some states we don't buy, like, I didn't know Tanya bought in all states. Now that I know that, when I get anything in New York, not necessarily she'll buy it, but at least I know who I can refer to. So sometimes what we do is we do co-buying, right? We are not partners in anything, but we pull the funds together and we buy it. And we decide ahead of time before we win the bid. If we win the bid, these are the notes that I'm going to take. These are the notes I'm going to take. So there's, everything is clear up front, and then we go make the purchase.
So Sri, this is not a fund, but you're pooling money?
I'm not pooling money. I'm not pooling money. We are co-buying.
Okay, got you.
So once the note directly gets assigned to your firm, there's no, my entity doesn't show up in the chain of assignments at all. Okay. This is co-buying, co-purchasing, not pooling money to give a return or anything.
So when you say co-purchasing, can you explain how that works?
So what we do is, we've been doing this 2014, I guess. So we set up an LLC where all of our members, all of the buyers, so that entity is just for buying, right? No transactions occur in that. So whenever a trade comes up, we want to buy, we pool all the funds and put it into that entity. And
Okay.
that entity goes and purchases the notes.
Okay.
And we are all co-buyers, right? Are part of that entity. And they, you know, then the assignment goes from that entity to your entity directly,
Uh,
right?
oh, I see.
Yeah, that's how we do it. So we're not pooling money per se, because we all belong to the LLC. We are the members of the LLC.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but the contribution, the purchasing, it only makes sense. Like if you're going to put a good chunk of money, somebody's going to put 50K, 100K probably may not be a thing because I can do that myself.
Okay.
If there's a good enough participation, then it makes sense. So.
So what is your minimum that you're looking for?
Probably 250K to start with.
50K?
250K, yeah.
50K? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's the reason, the tape has to make sense, right?
Right.
And the thing is, what's happening here is we were able to take down bigger tapes. The reason being, everyone is sourcing, right? Not just me, right? If it's the same source, obviously we don't compete and compete against each other, but we bring it to the group. But if it's a bigger tape or your buying criteria is different, then what happens is we can go get that tape saying that, okay, we can do this $10 million purchase. And then all of those entity buys the 10 million and then we, separate out the notes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you limit the number of people, partners, or co-buyers?
Ideally, we like to become, it does get pretty messy if we have large number of folks. And the other thing is, not everyone, not everyone works well in this kind of setup, right? Some people say, hey, that is a better node. Why did you get that? So I try to be as fair as possible. It's not me all the time sourcing the nodes.
Okay.
I am for the most part of the time, but it's not me all the time.
Okay.
So as long as it's equitably split, we are totally fine with it. I'm totally fine with it anyway.
Got it. Okay. Yes, well, please keep me in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Anybody have anything else? That was great. Thank you for sharing, Sri. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you for joining.
Yep. And I think you guys have in person, and I'm like 90 minutes away. And DC traffic from Virginia to get you to the meeting is kind of hard.
It's kind of tough. Yeah.
If you do Zoom, I'm going to be there every time.
Okay.
I love to network, but
yeah, it's been a little rough getting to those in person.
Yeah, because I used to run a meetup pre-COVID once in Odenton, Maryland, and for the Virginia folks, I used to run in Chantilly, Virginia.
So you're fully online now.
I'm fully online because there are people from different parts of the country. They want to join, mostly from the West Coast.
Right.
They get to join and ask questions, and I've done several deals with them. A lot of people who are very active. So it is much better outreach than actually limiting myself to a physical location.
I agree. We get more online. I mean, usually we've had at least 20 on. It's a small, I didn't do too much advertising this time, but it's a smaller group today, but we've had some great discussions. So it is, I see the benefit. It's kind of dwindling for the in-person one because, I mean, the location and the parking can be a bit of a headache. However, when we do go, we have some really great discussions. We have about 3 or 4 people.
Sure.
So yeah, I agree with you. But it's all good. We always get something out of it. All righty. Anybody have? So with that being said, I'm putting in a plug for those of you who can make it out to our in-person. We do have some really great discussions. It's the second Tuesday of every month at the Cobalt Center office space. It's really a great place that we just meet up. And it's only for, an hour and a half. And we just talk about usually the things that are stressing us, things that are happening. And it's not always with note stuff. Some of it's weird note stuff. Some of it's just property stuff and working through some challenges. So if you are available, please join us, and I'll put that information out there also in my email.
So, Tanya, what is the general format of the meetup? Just so I know,
The in-person.
in person or even the Zoom one. I just want to know what is the structure so that.
Well, the in-person one is well, it's to be like a mastermind group. You come with your challenges or anything that you're trying to work through, and then we kind of put it together and everybody works together to help figure out a solution. With this one, this is more for educational purposes.
Mhm.
So it's just the basics of note investing, some of the things we've had, Biggie Baldwin on there. We've had Gallagher on there to talk about setting up your LLCs. Next month, I've got Max from Call the Underwriter to talk about Dodd-Frank and seller financing and the importance of all of that. So it's just an educational format and to help people understand how to note invest in some of the things and challenges that they may face, but just to get them involved. So we have people who are still trying to get notes. We have some people who have had a few notes and are experienced, and we just kind of come together and educate one another.
Cool. Okay. Makes sense. So let me throw out a situation that I'm running into, and I'll keep you updated, the whole group, I guess, how it's coming up. So we foreclosed on a property in Elkton, Maryland on March 8th, I guess. I don't know the exact date, but it was in March.
Okay.
So we foreclosed from a second position. The numbers are, the property is worth about 280 to 300. Second lien was 33,000, and the first lien was 130 is the payoff, and there was a hard loan of 58,000, which was a deferred balance with 0% interest.
Mhm.
And interestingly, they moved it to second position. They said this is a junior lien to the first position lien.
Okay.
From a recordation perspective, date recordation, the first and second, which is my loan, were originated in August of 2007. And the hard loan, which no interest loan, was originated in 2016. So what we're trying to figure out right now is, in the loan modification, it does say it's a junior, not a subordinate loan. That's the language they used. So if we already foreclosed and we took the property back. So the first lien lender, which has never happened to me until now, send a letter stating that the loan is due, and we may call the loan due. The language was a little interesting. They didn't say we're calling the loan due. They said we may call the loan due. Call us to get the payoff. They want us to pay. They want me to pay them off. So the question now is,
You're in what position?
technically second position because my loan was recorded in 2007.
And which loan are they calling you?
My loan.
Okay.
Sorry, they're calling their first position loan due.
Okay.
All right. So which is the 130. So what we don't know is if you foreclose, the hard loan wiped out because they called it as subordinate lien to the first lien. Right. So I don't know if it's wiped out or not. So I know I have to pay 130. Property is worth 300K. So there's a good margin there. So that's the situation.
If they call the first loan due, the 130, you're thinking your second is wiped out?
I don't know. We're going to find out. And what is interesting is when they did a loan mod in 2016, that's when the second was created. They added the language. Generally, what happens is, the difference between a voluntary lien and an involuntary lien, right? So second is considered as when you are writing a mortgage, you don't list as I'm the superior all. When second lien forecloses on the property subject to the first lien, it is considered as trigger for due on sale clause. Because what happens is you cannot list in a mortgage. Involuntary liens will also need to when they foreclose on the property, they need to pay off the first.
Right.
It's voluntary liens, which is where the borrower tries to sell the property subject to or transfers the title. That's the language they have. So this one does not have that language. So I don't even know if the first can actually call the loan due because you need to have that in the language in the deed of trust. But since there is enough margin, I'm thinking about paying off the 130 so that have it free and clear and then sell, what have you. So a couple of moving parts in this. So I just want to throw it out as a case study so that, your folks can learn from something.
Yes, and I would like to hear the outcome because that's a great question.
Yep.
So will you bring it back to us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm all for educating folks. That's how I learned, and that's how we all learn.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because immediately I would say, no, it's not. But then, like you said, no, okay, I'm not gonna talk now. But I'd like to hear. Could you please bring that one back to us and let me know.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
that.
awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
All righty. Anybody have anything else to share? Stacy joined us. I saw you driving.
And I've heard Tanya speak. She's very knowledgeable. So the only way you learn is by asking questions. So only stupid question is the one that you don't ask. I ask a lot of stupid questions. So feel free to ask all the questions.
Those are questions that everybody else is thinking, but too scared to ask.
There's nothing to be scared. That's how you learn.
Yeah. Well, I am always available. If anybody needs me, shoot me an email. I will respond faster than I did, Nicole. But I'm always here. If you have questions, reach out. Sri is also a great source. Please reach out to him. And if you have any questions, we are here for you. So if nothing else, I thank you all so much for joining. And I'll see you next month. I'll be putting out more information. And I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Be safe and have fun.